Live, I can see it. Got it.
Yay, we made it. Hi everybody, I'm Nick from Retribe. Joining me today is Lenka Kopecka. Did I get it right? Kopecka?
Yes,
Kopecka.
yeah. Kopecka, yes.
Kopecka. Oh dear me, I do have a problem with some names sometimes. I do apologize. Lenka, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm really good. Thank you so much. Weather is good, all good. Yes. How are you?
Now, I'm really good. I'm really interested in talking to you today because I'm interested in your work as a therapist and all of that. I'm interested in your career as a rollerblader too, because as I told you, I play ice hockey, and rollerblading was a big part of my off season and training and stuff, but never did it to the extent that you guys do it. So I'm really looking forward to chatting to you and learning more about it all.
Great, thank you. Me too.
Great. Can you introduce yourself, to the community? Just tell everybody who you are and what you do over a couple minutes. Yeah, and I'll just make sure everything's working. All the links are good.
Okay. So, hi everybody. I'm an integrative therapist. I mean, I call it an Alphawave Therapy because I believe everybody's good in inner alpha, and that everyone can basically get in touch with their own, leading system. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, psychotherapist, NLP master practitioner, and many other methods practitioner, where I started studying over 10 years ago, where I wanted to understand basically from every angle of our being. So that's why I call it an integrative therapy, because we look at things from every perspective. So mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual, and so on. So I also do sound therapy. So there's the last addition to the bundle, basically. So basically through the speed skating, I have a speed skating team of girls, and we are the current record holders still in 24-hour Le Mans for over 3 years, actually. I mean, COVID stopped all the racing and everything like that, and they just restarted this year. So we didn't join this year because I'm focusing on my business and on basically growing my community and everything like that. But through the speed skating, I tested all the methods, and that's how I fell in love with NLP. And after my first diploma, we won the big race, and it was like, wow, everybody was like, your times never drop, and my energy levels were the same over the 24 hours. So that's when I knew that those techniques work, and that's how I tested the power of our mind really on the track,
I really want to get into how you tested it. But as an athlete, growing up, like how long have you been, speed skating? What were the things? What was the mindset like when you were a younger athlete before you learned, this new approach?
So I used to run just like in a small athletic club back home. And I was about, I think 12, 13, 14. And I was a very active child from, very early on. And we had quite a regimental training plan, which was 6 days out of 7. And for a 13-year-old, it was quite intense. So I did drop out. I didn't love running. And then I just rediscovered the love for sports when I started skating. And then I started skating every day. And basically, it's an organization here in London where we organize street skates for everybody. So anybody can join, and it's for free, and there's music and everything. And I became one of the marshals. And as the marshal, you have to overtake everybody and block the cars. And that's when I kind of started realizing I really love the speed, right? So I was like, okay. And it was really effortless. So it wasn't like you have to try really hard. It just went on its own. And I just really loved the thrill of going fast. So, and then we went to Le Mans, 24-hour Le Mans. That kind of changed my life, this race. And it's, the movie Ford versus Ferrari. So they go around the track for 24 hours. And Formula One, that's where they race actually. And we were on the same track. So we did it with the marshals 2 years in a row. And the first year I was really proud and very excited. And the second year I was really annoyed because we had some members that were breaking down the hill, And I'm like, this is impossible. You are ruining our times, you know? And I'm like, okay, next year I'll make my own team and I will win this thing. So, and that's exactly what happened. And that's how it started. And the year after, it was raining 23 hours out of 24, and we were completely lost. Like, oh my God, you know, we discovered there are wet weather wheels, and nobody was prepared. Everybody was scraped, and we were third. Then we were fourth, and I was like, oh my God, I need to restructure our approach. And you know, it's a journey, and you learn. You need to replace the members, and there is this emotional connection to friends who don't like to train, but they like to participate. And then you have to kind of reassess, what is it that you're after? Are you after fun, or are you after trophies? Or, I mean, obviously both, okay, but the team spirit needs to be aligned. So all these things, year by year, I kind of learned year by year, and always something new. And at the end, we broke the record. So which I'm very proud of, actually, because it was a very very interesting journey. Like when we won in 2013 for the first time, the number of laps were, I think, 135, and when we broke the record was 175. So it's like 40 laps more. So we like improved over the course of 6 years, and then we've beaten this really good French team. And like I was really happy that we were able to get to that stage, and we were doing some 6-hour races as well, in France, in Paris, in London, and twice in London. So we won it 3 times, and also some little relays in Czech Republic as well. So that was really nice. Yeah, it's just yeah, you kind of unlock the power of your mind, like, you know.
Yeah, that's it's something that I'm very interested in, Lenka, because I know my partner's from the Czech Republic. She's not far from Brno, actually, and the mindset of the Czech Republic in terms of, say, ice hockey, gymnastics, running, is very much the same mindset in Canada when I was growing up, which is this. It is really kind of like a do or die. Push your body like literally to the edge and beyond the edge to beyond breaking point, so that you can build resiliency, toughness, this kind of inner strength idea. And my experience with it is it was quite harmful, and it created more trauma, in terms of like playing through pain. That kind of thing is like, unless it's not falling off, you're okay. So I was playing with broken wrists and torn ligaments, and shoulders that were partially dislocated, because I had coaches who just said, suck it up. And I think that this mindset that we really do still hear, it's very prominent in all sport culture, and it's even in corporate culture, of this high performance, win at all costs, elevate yourself to be, better than, and it's kind of very competition based. And as I said, it was quite harmful, and I think it creates a lot of trauma. And certainly, if there is some injuries or setbacks along the way, they're not as easy to deal with that mindset. So I'm really interested to know, and only talking to you a couple of times, I'm getting a sense that this is about finding some kind of inner strength, probably some calming techniques, some breathing techniques, like basically a changing of old ideas into these kind of new ways. And then you've produced amazing success, including a world record. So kind of how did that happen? And how did you go, like, were you learning as a therapist, kind of these new mindsets, as a holistic therapist, that you then brought into the speed skating, or was it kind of happening at the same time?
I think it was happening at the same time, because in 2012, I started studying alternative therapies. Okay, so it was like I was dealing with something like basically I was in a tricky relationship, and it kept bringing up all these things about me, about my insecurities, about myself. And then from the culture where I come from, it's you kind of tend to really care about what other people think, and really care about what you look like, and you are very loyal. So I come from a very loyal background. You know, you till death do us apart, you know, and then you are really loyal beyond the grave. And so I had to go through this journey where I started studying all these amazing methods, EFT, NLP, emotrance, like energy work, and all this world just started opening up to me. And my godfather is actually a healer as well, so we started communicating a lot, and it's really exciting. We always share all these like exciting techniques and everything. And basically in that relationship, I was kind of skating away from turning my attention to whatever really needed attention. So my training approach was more like training as much as I decided to. I didn't have a coach. I just decided, okay, I'm just going to train 7 days a week. I'm just going to skate my ass off and deliver results, which actually worked for the beginning. But then when the competition was getting stronger, then you have to look at things more holistically, and you have to look at kind of, some would refer to it as neurohacking, where you really need to look at the potential of your body, mind, and spirit, emotions. So what I learned through this journey is not just only how emotions actually affect your training and your performance, and your mental state is so important because it actually derives from the emotional state. So that's number one. Number two is completely living in a fight and flight response, because when you are in a situationship where somebody triggers your fight and flight responses all the time, that you keep running on adrenaline all the time, and high beta waves, which is the stressor waves, where you are kind of in a stress quite a long time, or quite often in a day. And then you kind of start awakening to taking care of yourself more. So I went through multiple injuries, every little angle of my knee, every ligament, everything, ankle. I sprained my ankle, and then it all like traveled up the leg, and then I've done so much physio that at some point I couldn't walk because I sprained my ankle. And then I had to do physio like an hour and a half a day to recover it. And I've gone through crazy injuries, like not crazy where you are being cut through or anything like that, but basically where you are really forced to actually stop and then reevaluate, like being able to skate, like no matter how long or how far. I had no limits. There was no limits. It was just, for me, it was a form of an escapism. At the same time, I loved it so much that I did so much that I overdid it. So I overtrained. The minute when I stopped overtraining, when I started really paying attention to what the body needs, what the communication of the body is, and then just kind of reduced the extreme training every day to reducing it 3 times a week, speed, technique, endurance, depending on what you are training for, and then doing physio in between. That's when my personal bests were the best. That's when I won Czech championships as well in 2018. It was just an additional race. I didn't want to tell anybody because I'm like, what if I mess up? And we did a little race the day before as well, which we won like a fun race in Brno as well. It was in a cartwheel truck, and it was like, it had like 14 turns. It was crazy because you had to keep turning. And I was like, why didn't I bring my small wheels? Because it's so much easier than on massive big wheels. But it was a lot of fun. And so it was a great year, 2018. And then I sprained my ankle and everything was like, okay, you need to, restart. And and the rest is history, actually. So mentioning the techniques, when I studied my first diploma, and it's called IET, so it's EFT, emotional freedom technique, and NLP together, so neuro-linguistic programming. So you actually connect the mental side of things and the emotional side of things. And that's where I prepared for my first race with my team. And basically you tap into resources, you tap into really what I've learned for over the years. There are so many approaches and so many opinions, and everything actually boils down to the same thing, and it's the mind and heart connection. So when you're doing something from your heart, naturally you put a lot of energy into it, but it feels kind of effortless, so you wouldn't feel drained. And I would mention a book which is called Power versus Force. Howard Schultz, who wrote the book, sorry, I'll check later. Anyways, it's one of my most favorite books, and it calls about hidden determinants of human consciousness, and it talks about how power, when we are within our own power, connected to our heart, it feels effortless, and it feels really like, basically this is our nature, this is who I am, and this is what I'm going for. And the force, when we are really forcing something and we're experiencing this resistance, and energetically you kind of can feel that this is not the right thing to do. Like many people, they end up in wrong jobs and really unhappy, and then all of a sudden they sometimes develop insomnia, or that's where depression and anxiety stems from, and all these things, because we're not really in touch with our heart. So skating is like a part of my heart. This is how I generate my power, and basically tuning onto the mind state and onto the little parts of your mind where you accelerate that even further. That's where NLP and other things come to play, because then you kind of increase your potential of winning or whatever else you are after achieving in your life. So if you spend enough time in those alpha and gamma brain waves, which are high performance brain waves, or athletes high, as some would refer to it, that's when you can actually transfer it onto other areas of your life, or our lives, or whatever we are after, So
yeah. As you're speaking, it's making me think about the difference between competition and challenge. And I really like that. Like for most of my life, I've been competing. It's always competing to win. And that is either against hockey teams or myself or other people in business, but it was always a win-lose, and not lose to learn, but lose to lose, and win to win it all. And I found that very damaging. So I like looking into this, the word of competition, and how it just is it's woven into our life, where it's me against you, us against them. It's like the world of capitalism is all about competition. And as I kind of looked into these challenge states of the mind, which is what you're talking about, is this idea of the heart, head, body, spirit, all being one and connected. And like you said, when you're kind of in that flow, everything's effortless. But when I'm just in here all alone, and my ego is saying, I need to win, I need to get the money, get the job, get the car, to make myself kind of feel complete, then I'm in this competition state. And there was I can't remember the name of a neurologist, but there was a neurologist in the 60s. And I think it was at the time where you could kind of cut the scalp off and put electrodes on the brain. You can't do that now. But he was studying when the brain was the happiest, and it was and he gave images of cute animals and food and reproduction, a polite way to say, and puzzles. And then he gave the people puzzles and the brain lit up when it was being challenged with a puzzle. It kind of like all elements of it. And that really intrigues me, because I think that if I can move myself from a competition state more to a challenge state, then I get a far easier, effortless motion into it. And then the stakes aren't as high, and I'm always getting a little bit better. And I'm wondering, with a team sport like speed skating, like, is a lot of your success due to maybe you guys challenging one another to be the best versions of yourselves, the best athletes, or is it us against the French? Or us against them, yeah.
Yeah, I completely resonate with that, because that was one of my challenges as well. I was extremely competitive to a state where I would be walking up a mountain and some couple was too slow and I'm like, I'm going to overtake them, and, you know, overtaking people on stairs and all these things. And when then you start kind of realizing it's not about you being the best, because when you're the best on the top, you're alone. It's about, you know, it's about belonging, and it's competition against ourselves. It's a healthy competition because we only compete against our own, you know, like best selves. So used to really struggle to see people being better, and I used to really like be like, oh my god, what am I doing wrong, and looking at it from this perspective of like a luck perspective. But when I started adapting a mindset of inspiration instead, so not competition but inspiration from those that do really really well, where we are never going to be the best. There's always going to be somebody who does something really in an amazing way, right? So, but we are all unique, and everybody's a different, you know, everybody's unique. There is no other person like us, because we are just made up of these interesting things, right? So there is always inspiration when somebody is really amazing and they're doing something really really well. And I think I really resonate with this mindset much better because it's so much more positive, and it's like it's such a positive drive towards everything that we do, you know, in our lives. And from the first years, obviously, it was very fierce, and we were like, oh my god, get them, oh, she passed us, now you need to get her, and like really really like fierce. But I still enjoy the team spirit, because I would never like to race against my girls for my team, which we did a race together actually. And we like three of us were on the podium, first, second, and third. It was so nice to like all of us after this amazing race be on the podium again and together. But there was no, you know, like competition. It was just love in a way. And like it's really nice when you kind of let go of to be the best or having to prove yourself something, because it also stems from childhood, you know, when there are so many things that come from childhood, you know. It's just like so funny, even if there is a perfect marriage of parents and the parents are the best ever, there is maybe a little thing that happens in a nursery, somebody takes your toy away, and all of a sudden this limited belief is formed, and from then onwards you are in toxic relationships, you know. So it's not, it's normal. And I did have this sense of like having to prove myself, having to always you know, try to look the best, try to be the best, all this like constant criticism and constant competition against everyone and anyone. And when you let go, it's like, unfortunately, sometimes it happens for people when they go through a threshold moment where you are completely like down on the floor or injured or anything like that. But it sometimes needs to happen. And then, yeah, that's kind of freedom after that.
You said something that I'm struggling with finding the language for, but it was when the three of you were on the podium and like you did it out of love, you know. And it's in my personal journey, I've come to my own definition of what the word love means.
Yeah.
And to me, it's power. It's the ultimate power. Love is like action. A selfless action towards other people with not expecting anything in return. And for me, it's the ultimate, it's like, it's comparing nuclear energy to coal. Okay. Love is nuclear and coal is just, it's working out in the gym. So love is the ultimate form, if we can say nuclear, the metaphor, you get it. And I have this I can tap into love, especially in my recovery community, by helping others, by self-sacrifice, and it fills me up, and I feel great. And I think of it in the terms of sports. And if you said to someone, "Hey, everybody, this is my speed skating team. We're going to go to Le Mans. And this year we are going to break the records because we're going to be powered by love. Everyone would look at you kind of funny and go, what the, what? But and this is what I'm struggling with Tough Through Tender, this program that we've developed, to try to get into different cultures of sport and corporate culture and bring in this verbiage, this wordage of using this kind of ultimate form of power compared to old forms of power, which is all self-based, like competition, fear, all the different types of fear that will elevate us to succeed, which I think, as I mentioned, are quite detrimental and harmful. So how do, like, oh, and here's my example. Have you watched all the Rocky films? Rocky?
Not all of them. No, but I have. Yeah.
So Rocky, like in particularly the first 3 Rockies, or maybe I'll say 4 Rockies, Adrian, his wife, is like this, Adrian is his love. And he always kind of confides in Adrian before he fights Apollo or Clubber Lang or Ivan Dragoff, or when his manager Mickey dies. Like, Adrian is his ultimate power of love, and he shows her this vulnerability. And he says to Adrian, "I'm scared," and he does it in this way that you just, like, for me, it's the pinnacle of the movie. It's not him winning at the end. It's him showing to the person that he loves more than anything that he's scared. He shows this vulnerability in this love moment. And I think that's where he gets his power. And then he goes on and obviously wins at the end. And he wins, on love. That's my perception of Rocky. And when I'm trying to talk to other athletes about that, like I'm sure with maybe you, like you're using this term of like, how can we win on vulnerability and compassion and inner strength and resiliency rather than this kind of old language? So like, is it a struggle that you have? How are you working around it? Like, how do you work with clients now and talk about this power in a way that they can receive it and not think, oh, this is just woo-woo tree hugging stuff?
So in terms of the team, we focus on having fun. Okay. So that's the team spirit, because when there is laughter and when there is a lot of fun, that's what I closely link to love as well. When you have fun, when you laugh, when you make people laugh, obviously it's endorphins, serotonin, everything happens, And so we make sure we train the right way. And the selection of the team members is a very refining process, because it's not just about the abilities, it's about the spirit, right? It's about the attitude. It's about the energy of the person. And then obviously it's a strategy of what they need, what their needs are, how they need to be taken care of, what language do you need to use with them, how do you need to motivate them in order to keep going, how do you need to show them appreciation, and all these things, little things basically that make a massive difference. And everybody is doing it for something. And we had the best results when we saw the team against us, and we were like, okay, all right then. So we might be second this year, but let's just make sure we have the best time. We have an amazing time. And that's when everything fell into place. We just let go of the actual importance of, oh my God, we need to win or die or whatever. And we just kept having fun, pushing. Okay, there were moments when my friend Mi-Hyun, she had blood on her feet, like she couldn't take her skates off, and it was the end of the race. And then she came from the lab, and she was like, I can't do anymore. I can't do it anymore. And I said, I need one more lap, please. And then she's like, okay, I'm gonna take it off. Blisters everywhere. The nails fall off. That's a normal thing. Okay, when you do a 24-hour race, it just happens. And then so I went on the track. She went on the track. I went on the track, and she had to go again because there was nobody else, and we had to keep going. So we did like she had maybe 8 minutes break, and had to go back on again after that one lap that I said, can you do one more? She had to do 2 more. And like there was a girl, Erica, she got an asthma attack, so she was in an ambulance after she came from a track, because she went so fast the first lap. Nobody expected her. She had to do another one. And then she arrived and she had to go straight into ambulance. And then she was like palpitating and then couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. I really want to win. And I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? Like, this is such a big responsibility. And I've just like made the monsters out of these girls. And like, you know, basically they just want to win so much. And it's all like about belonging and about creating this team spirit. And it's ultimately it's love. Yes. You don't have to communicate it, because when you say it in words, probably people would laugh at you. But I think the funnier you sound, the better. Because if you say it the right way and you say like, guys, okay, we're just gonna, you know, unleash the power of love and you know, whatever, they're gonna laugh their heads off. Like, what the hell are you talking about? And it works, you know, being ridiculous and being really honest and yourself and unapologetically basically making them laugh. That's what I kind of find this is what works. Mi-hyun, she's very stubborn, and we did like a 6-hour race together, and I had a strategy which she didn't want to confine. She didn't want to use it. She said, no, let's do 1 lap each, and we change every lap. And I'm like, we're gonna burn out. You can't do that. We have 6 hours ahead. We need to do 3 laps, so we have enough time to recover and enough power to do. So, okay, so we had to go with her. And I didn't have a very supportive pit crew that year. And that broke me a little bit, actually. That was another learning. And they are like, no, you need to listen to her. And I'm like, I'm the team captain, guys. I've done this race before. I won it before. Trust me. No, she knows. Okay. In 1 hour, she completely burnt out. So we went with my strategy. I'm like, okay, cool. Did you need that proof? So I had to she loves beer. So I was motivating her with beer. I had a nice beer for her for the end of the race. She won a t-shirt. She was wearing a t-shirt. Drink beer, save water, drink beer. It was so funny. Yeah.
It is that thing of like bringing down barriers through laughter. And I think ultimately it's about connection, you know, honest connection with your teammates that is based around, you know, not taking, I know saying not taking things too serious, it's I'm not saying go in there lightly. You want to go in there and be the best that you can, but not taking things to the point where it's like, if we do not win, we're gonna kill ourselves. This is gonna be horrible. Like, it's not like losing it when you give it everything you've got isn't losing. It's just learning.
Yes.
But so this kind of idea maybe around vulnerability, especially as a team captain, do you ever have to be vulnerable and maybe kind of expose something of yourself that helps them trust you a little bit more? Because that's something that I've found, is that vulnerability doesn't really show weakness. It helps build trust. Is that anything that in your experience that you found?
So what I found is, obviously, when you are, you know, I've been in situations, unfortunately, in 2017 where so many things like BCAAs and all these energetic things. It made me sick. Okay, so I had my 2-hour break and I went on a truck and I started puking on the truck. I felt so sick. I was so sick, like as if you had a night out. Okay, like you really, really drank a lot. That's how I felt. And as I was skating up that hill, which is 600 meters, it's the like downhill hill. And then I was like, oh my God. So I had to go and puke 3 times. Okay. And the lap took 2 minutes longer than normal. And I was really sick. I felt like, oh my God, it's like you feel ill. And in these moments, you just cannot really be strong, you know. It's just you are there really, really sick. And I obviously felt quite a failure at that time, because first of all, I didn't prepare my nutrition right. And second of all, obviously everybody has a sense of empathy because we are all friends, right? We all have this really strong drive and we are striving for the same thing. And I'm always there for everybody. So always understanding everybody's needs and always what works the best is like being there, you know. You have to know you have to let them know they can rely on you. I would always make sure that they can always come to me. They can always tell me what's wrong. They have to let me know they are feeling weak, and if I have to replace them or if I have to do a lap for them. The first year, we couldn't put a team together. Nobody wanted to skate with us. They're like, no, we know what, I messed it up for you guys. And like it was just me and my friend who had this big dream, and we are like, okay, so you go with us. And then the girls, that they didn't train, but they were really brave, because they were like, okay, we are doing it with you. But it was me and my friend who's done the most laps, okay? And I was like, okay, you are tired, no problem, I'll do the lap for you. And it was like, thanks to NLP, you know, it's like, yeah, that's fine, I have the energy, I'll do it. And I remember when it was like, I think we won just by one lap that year, and I saw the time, I had about 13 seconds or something for the last stretch, and you see the clock in front of you. And then I had done the last 3 laps, which is about 15K. And then, you know, after 24 hours of skating, and then I saw these seconds, and I'm like, okay, I just have to really, really sprint it through. And then I just did it. I just did it, you know, and then you do it and everybody's like, yeah, you know, whole London team and everybody from the UK, so many teams always there. We are so popular on that race. And so you just really, really step into your power, and you really, really need to show the leadership, you know. It's like, as I said, I mean, it goes back to Alphawave. Like, we all have an inner alpha. And it doesn't matter. We don't have to be all extrovert or introvert or whatever that is. It's just our own inner guiding system. And when we tap into it, it's like when we genuinely care for others, and they can feel it, and they feel part of the team, and their needs are met, and their validation is, you know, is provided in a way. It works.
Yeah, no, I love it. I hope that everything that you're doing catches on with other sports and with other athletes, because I think that ultimately people will enjoy whatever they're doing, whatever sport they're challenging themselves to if they take this kind of, I don't want to say mindset, but this kind of approach, you know, and mindset is part of it, but I think it's a holistic shift from old kind of structures to this new, and we'll call it holistic or integrated approach of how to excel as an athlete, and to really enjoy the sport that you're playing, you know. And when you're really enjoying it, I think the literally gold medal is it's a no-brainer. You're gonna get it. That's just my thinking around it, because I think it's absolutely beautiful. But we're kind of running out of time, Lenka, and I'm just wondering how I can kind of get you to talk about your practice today. Okay. You know, so we've only got 5 minutes left. So talk to us about your practice and how you have taken what you've learned from the speed skating world and as an athlete, and then into your practitioner as an integrative therapist, and how you help your clients today.
So throughout the years of testing it on the truck and everything, I always studied. Okay, so I really strongly resonate with a framework of a solution focused. So it's solution focused clinical hypnotherapy. Okay, and I've tried out a lot of things, and I've done I always do CPDs, because I'm registered with the National Board of Clinical Hypnotherapy and American Board of NLP. And so these are my 2 favorite techniques, but the sound is something that kind of puts it all together. Because as I said, I collected all these methods that look at a problem or a complaint from a different perspective. So you come from, you know, the emotional side, mental side, and so on. And at some point, I even studied spiritual approaches with pendulum and past lives and all these things, which I'm not allowed to talk about, because it's not allowed, because it sounds too woo-woo in the organization that I am kind of registered with, but I wanted to understand everything. And when I arrived to quantum approach to quantum physics, that's where you kind of end up there anyway. So when you study so long, and then with the sound is science, and its vibrations and frequencies, and the language that we speak is actually the most primitive communication that there is, because it's already filtered through the words and perceptions and the way we communicate. So with sound, you do not have to speak, you have to tune into it. So it's very subtle, and you kind of start evolving different senses. So with my practice, I like to approach problem from whatever angle is needed, because everybody resonates with it, with a different approach, and it's really important to continue with the mindset of solutions. And I really strongly resonate as well with building the strengths and giving power through the heart, and really reconnecting the mind and heart connection. So I do one-on-one sessions where we take it really, really, like deep, and heal general things like phobias, fears. I've just had somebody with a cat phobia that was quite intense, and addictions, and depression, anxiety, weight control, mindset, sports performance, and it's a lot of things. That's why I have to niche in, actually, and I'm having a FOMO to actually pick one or two things at the moment. But ultimately, it's really, really about giving power and empowerment to the person in therapy, because therapy is misperceived on many levels. People think it's a painful thing, and people think they have to really suffer through it, which is fine. You can have a choice to do that. And we really sometimes have to go deep and dig it out, and sometimes you cry, but there is a release, and there is a relief. I do not agree with clients leaving sessions angry or fractioned. So I always like to end on a high note, and always like to, give them tools and things to do, and basically or like tasks, okay, because that kind of keeps them growing. So when I meet a client somewhere, we always take them higher, even whatever they are going through. It can be a very life altering situation, or something like a threshold moment, as I mentioned before, when they are really on the floor and they are like, what am I supposed to do next, like heartbreaks and things like that. So we really go through everything that got them where they are today, because the journey goes from the childhood experiences, as I mentioned before, like when you form this fear limited beliefs that really stop you from achieving and unleashing things, and then you are just stuck in this box of whatever you created when you were 5 years old, and then you kind of snowball from that. So we clear it all out on many levels. And then I do group therapies as well, where I work with the sound and give it. So I do hypnotherapy and sound healing sessions and NLP. So I use the sound to go deeper, and then I give suggestions and things, and always give it some sort of a theme in the group. So these are quite popular as well.
It's beautiful, Lenka. I love what you do, and I'm sure along the way we might be able to collaborate on some stuff. I've got some ideas about maybe bringing what you do to some sports organizations that I work with. So
that'd be great.
I think it'd be awesome. Thank you so much for your time today. I've really enjoyed it. I've learned a lot from you today, and I appreciate your time.
Same. Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun.
You're very welcome. How can people get in touch with you? You can send me your links, and I'll put them in the Facebook feed anyway, but how can people get in touch with you?
So I have a couple of Facebook pages, page for sound healing and hypnotherapy, Alphawave Therapy. If you wanted to check out the page of my team, it's there as well. The Galactics, Team Galactics, everything is possible. The sky is not the limit. And then I have an Instagram page, Alphawave Therapy. I have another Instagram page for the skating. That's just a personal thing, Lenka Kopecka X. And then I have a website, which is Alphawave Zone, alphawave.zone, and that is dedicated solely to an insomnia program.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, please email me those links. I'll stick them up in the Facebook feed, and then and if you, I'll send you a link for this too, so you've got it. But thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you to the community for joining us. Don't forget to join me on Thursday for another Tough Through Tender workshop, and then also next Tuesday for another live. And we'll see you all till then. Take care.